Okay, so today we're going to learn how to do a dihybrid Punnett square. I give you the example over here, and we'll rewrite it. Before we go with the example, I just want to define what the alleles are. So this example, it's in regards to pea plants. So capital S is going to equal smooth. So you all write this on your paper, okay? Lowercase s is going to equal like rough or wrinkled. Capital Y is going to be a yellow color, and then lowercase y will be a green color. So in this example, we're going to cross a heterozygous parent and a heterozygous parent. And today we're looking at the dihybrid cross. So how many traits or how many genes are we looking at? 2. So they're heterozygous for both. Okay, so they're heterozygous for seed shape and heterozygous for color. Okay, this one heterozygous for seed shape, heterozygous for color. Okay. So on your paper, you need to draw yourself a Punnett square. This time when we do dihybrids, you need to have 4 columns and 4 rows. Okay, so you need 16 little boxes in your square. Are you all with me to this point? Do you have your Punnett square drawn?
Yeah.
Okay, the first step is the trickiest step, okay? If people get their Punnett square incorrect, it's for this very first step. So make sure like you're paying attention. If you have your phone out, put your phone away. If you haven't been writing this on paper, like now's the time. Get your paper out, get your pencil out. We have to figure out how do we take our parent genotypes and how do we actually label our columns and our rows? Okay. How many of you feel tempted to be like, oh, I have 4 letters and I have 4 columns. I'm just going to go like S, S, Y, Y. Okay. That's like the go-to, yes? Okay. But how many traits do we have? 2, right? We have seed shape and we have color. You have to have 2 letters for each column and each row. So let me show you like the slow way of how we figure that out, and then I'm going to show you a shortcut way. The reason why I want to start with the slow way is the slow way teaches you why. Okay? So we're going to look at this first parent. Okay? When we draw a Punnett square, we're predicting the traits of who? Okay, the offspring. Okay, so we have to think of it in terms of, here's this parent. They have 2 alleles for shape. Okay, they have the capital S and the lowercase s. They have 2 alleles for color, right? They have capital Y, lowercase y. Well, we had to come up with every single possible combination of shape and color this parent could give to their offspring. Okay, so they could give the capital S for shape, and they could give the capital Y for shape, or for color. Okay. Another option, they could give the capital S, and they could give the lowercase y. A third combination would be to give the small s and the capital Y. And then a fourth possible combination, they could give the lowercase s and the lowercase y. Okay. I know there's a lot of arrows, but does that make sense? Like by going through it, do you see how I made every single possible combination that that parent could give an offspring of the S and the Y genes? Mm-hmm. Okay, now this is complicated, yes? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to show you a simpler way to do it, but I just want to show it out like the long way just so you can see like what are we actually doing. Okay. And then I can write this. So these are the actual alleles. So my first one was capital S, capital Y. So over here I'm going to write capital S, capital Y. The second combo was capital S, lowercase y. So I'm going to write that over here. Third combo was lowercase s, capital Y. And the fourth combo is lowercase s, lowercase y. Okay, are you with me so far? Okay, now, how many of you would like to learn the shortcut? not short. It's just easier. It's less complicated. Okay. How many of you know what foiling is in math class? Foil. Okay, we're going to foil. If you don't know how to foil, you're going to learn. You're going to take your first letter. Okay, so the first S and the first Y can combine. On your paper, draw the lines. I like draw a little arrow. So then if you forget how to do it, you can follow your notes. Okay, so the first letters. So first S, first Y. Then you can take your first S and the second Y.
This is easier, like the distribution.
You could have the option of the second S and the first Y. Or you can have your second S and the second Y. Did we do the same thing for this parent as we did as the first parent? Mm-hmm. Same thing. Is this one just easier, like less arrows, less confusing?
Yeah.
Okay, this is probably like the better option on paper. I just wanted to do the slow option first just so you could see like what was I doing. Okay, so the whole point of this is you're getting every possible like genotype combination that these parents could pass to their offspring. Okay. If you haven't drawn arrows on your paper, draw the arrows. So if you come back to this, let's say like Monday or next week, and you're like, oh, I forgot how to do it, you have those arrows so you could remind yourself. That's how I came up with these. Okay. So this is the trickiest part of the dihybrids. If people get the dihybrid wrong, like 97% of the time, they've messed up this part. Okay, so like, make like a mental note. Like, this is the important part. So before we move on, any questions on this part? Like how I labeled my columns or rows? Okay, so now we're gonna fill out the Punnett square, just how we did last week, or I guess a couple days ago. So these letters, S and Y, will combine with this S and Y. So how many letters are gonna go in that first box?
4.
Okay, 4 letters. When we write the letters, we're gonna keep the 2 S's together, and then we'll write the 2 Y's after. And then also, remember, capital letters go before lowercase letters. Okay, so for this one, we're gonna end up with capital S, capital S, capital Y, capital Y. Now I'm gonna move on to this box. I'm gonna combine capital S, capital S, capital Y, lowercase y. For the third box, we'll combine capital S, capital S, capital Y, capital Y. And then for the fourth box, we'll do capital S, lowercase s, capital Y, lowercase y. Okay, any questions on that first row, why any of the letter combinations are what they are? Okay, are you ready to jump down to the second row? Okay, second row, I'm going to combine capital S, capital S, capital Y, lowercase y. Then for this box, capital S, lowercase y, lowercase y. For this third box, we have capital S, lowercase s, capital Y, lowercase y. And for that last box, capital S, lowercase y, lowercase y. All right. Any questions on that second row? Bless you. Okay. Someone tell me, let's go down to the third row. Someone tell me, what 4 letters would I write in this box?
S, big S, small s, big Y, little y? Or big Y, big Y?
Perfect. Thank you. Someone tell me, what do I write in the next box?
uppercase s, lowercase s, uppercase y, lowercase y.
Good, thank you. Okay, next box, what should we write?
Lowercase not x, s, lowercase s, and both uppercase y.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, what about that next one? What should we write?
Lowercase s, uppercase y, or lowercase y?
Good. Good. All right, any questions so far? Okay. Next row, first box on the left, what should we write? Big S.
Big S, little big Y, little y.
Good. Okay. Give me like a thumbs up. Are you getting it? We doing okay?
Yeah.
Give me like a mid in the middle if I'm so, and give me like a thumbs down. Okay. Good. Okay, this box, I'm combining these two letters and these two. So I have a big S, little y, little y. All right, this box, little s, big Y, little y. And finally, for this final box, we have a little s, little y, little y. Okay, before we move on, any questions about filling out like that Punnett square, why any of those letters are what they are? Okay, then finally, at the end of this, we give the phenotypic ratio, okay? So remember the whole point of the Punnett square is we're predicting the offspring. So what are the offspring gonna look like? So when we do practice problems today, when I give you the piece of paper, it's gonna give you the order of that ratio. Okay, so don't worry about that. Today I'm just gonna walk you through it. For the phenotypic ratio, the first one we're interested in is the dominant trait and the dominant trait. Okay, so when you're looking at the Punnett square, how can you tell if the traits are gonna be dominant or recessive?
If they're uppercase or lowercase.
Okay, good. We're looking for uppercase or lowercase. So if the pea plant is going to be dominant for shape, you need to have at least one capital S. Does the second letter matter? No, so I'm just going to put an underline there. And then if it's dominant for color, you need at least one capital Y. And again, the second letter doesn't matter. So now we're going to look at the boxes and we're going to count how many have at least one capital S and one capital Y. I think it's helpful to just put a star or a dot in the box so you know not to double count it. Okay, so let's count. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Do you agree with that? Okay, so I'm going to record 9. So we have 9 offspring that are dominant. All right, next, in the order of our phenotypic ratio, we do the dominant trait and then the recessive trait. So if we're dominant for the first shape, their first shape, we want a capital S. Does the second letter matter? Okay. And then what would recessive look like? Good. Do I need 1 or 2? 2 lowercase. Okay, so now we're going to look at our boxes, and we're looking for at least 1 capital S and 2 lowercase y's. Again, I recommend put a mark in the box so you can keep track of them. So here's 1, 2, 3.
4. Bottom right. Yeah.
We're happy with 3?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Next, we're going to look at recessive for the first trait and then dominant for the second trait. So if it's recessive for the first trait, what letters am I looking for? Okay, so little s. And then dominant for the second trait, what am I looking for?
At least one capital Y.
Okay, at least one capital Y. So now we're going to go through the boxes, and we're looking for little s, and a big Y. So we have 1, 2, 3. Do y'all agree? Okay, and then what do you think comes last?
Recessive.
Good. Recessive and recessive. What would the letters look like for recessive? Okay. All lowercases. How many boxes are little s, little y? Okay, 1. So now, do you see our vertical numbers over here? Okay, so our last step. We have our vertical column. We're just going to turn this into that ratio now. So I'm just going to rewrite it. 9 to 3 to 3 to 1. Okay, so what that means is if these two heterozygous plants were to cross and make baby pea plants, 9 of them, roughly, are going to end up with dominant traits. Okay, so they're going to be round and yellow. 3 are going to end up dominant and recessive. So they would be like round and green. Roughly 3 end up recessive dominant, so like wrinkled and yellow. And 1 ends up recessive, so like green and wrinkled. Okay. Do we feel okay with that? Perfect.